Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're taking a truly fascinating journey. We're going literally from the concrete jungle into this, well, unexpected wilderness that exists right under our noses. We're going to unpack the surprisingly profitable world of urban foraging, basically.
Yeah.
How people are turning what many of us just see as weeds into remarkable, maybe even gourmet wealth.
Yeah, it's an ancient practice, absolutely. But what was, once just about survival has incredibly transformed. It's become this thriving niche for foodies, for wellness enthusiasts, and some really savvy entrepreneurs. We're really talking about the next step beyond farm to table. It's more like urban wild to table.
Urban wild to table. I like that phrase. Can you unpack that a bit for us? What really sets it apart, maybe ethically or just practically, from the standard farm to table idea?
Sure. Urban wild to table suggests a much closer, often, a more personal connection to the source. It's about using these overlooked, kind of untamed spaces within our cities and suburbs. Ethically, there's a big emphasis on responsible stewardship, making sure we harvest sustainably, maybe even helping the local ecology, not just taking. And practically, well, it means dealing with unique urban things like air quality, public access rules, avoiding contaminated spots. All that actually makes the story behind the ingredient even stronger, more compelling.
Right. So we're talking about wild edibles that are flourishing in plain sight, like edges of parks, along walkways, maybe forgotten corners of a neighborhood.
Exactly.
Think about things like dandelion, often just called a weed, right? Or that strong kick of wild garlic, maybe stinging nettle, and of course, different kinds of mushrooms. These aren't just overlooked plants. For someone who knows what they're doing, they're like culinary gold mines.
Yeah.
So our mission for this deep dive,
Yeah.
how do you take that passion, that knowledge, and actually turn it into a legitimate, profitable business?
Okay, let's unpack this. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Because it's not just one single path to making money from urban foraging. There seem to be distinct, pretty creative models, each with its own sort of feel and market.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And it taps right into what people want now, unique experiences, really authentic local ingredients. That gives it strong market appeal, especially now when everyone's talking about provenance.
Okay, first up then. Let's imagine you position yourself as the expert guide. So this model involves leading small groups, maybe walking tours, teaching them how to identify plants, harvest safely, maybe even cook them. It sounds fantastic, honestly, but how profitable can that really be? Well, what's compelling isn't just the low overhead, though that helps. It's the scalable uniqueness. A really well-done tour can become this premium experience people really seek out that allows for much higher prices per person just because of that bespoke educational value. We've seen urban foragers with waiting lists that are months long, and those wait lists, that's basically your marketing right there.
Interesting. So you're charging per person, maybe for a couple hours, or maybe way more for a full day workshop, something that ends with actually cooking the finds. But what's the biggest hurdle for someone starting out with tours? Is it finding the spots, insurance, something else?
That's a really key question. Knowing your plants is, of course, fundamental, but the biggest hurdles, often it's the legal stuff and safety. You need a deep understanding of the local ecology, sure, but also super strict safety protocols for anything edible. Identifying lookalikes, avoiding contaminated areas, that's huge. And crucially, getting the right liability insurance. People are trusting you with their safety. So yeah, success isn't just knowing plants. It's being an engaging storyteller who brings nature to life and who makes people feel confident in your expertise and safety measures.
Right, confidence is key there. So, okay, guiding tours is one route. But what if someone wants to take it a step further? Actually transform these wild ingredients into, something tangible, something people can buy and take home. What's the next step?
That leads us to direct-to-consumer product lines. Picture like a brand of gourmet pesto made with foraged wild ramps. Or maybe a line of artisanal teas infused with locally picked elderflowers. Now this approach, it does need more upfront investment. You've got food safety certs, packaging, branding, but once you're past those initial hurdles, it offers really significant scalability.
That makes sense. You could sell these things at farmers markets, maybe work with local artisan shops, or even set up your own e-commerce site. But talking about those certifications, what are the common pitfalls? What trips people up when trying to get wild forage stuff approved for sale?
Oh yeah, that's where it gets tricky. It's not just about getting any certification, it's about navigating very specific local health department rules, understanding cottage food laws versus needing a commercial kitchen, ensuring shelf life is consistent, that's another one. You might need specialized ways to preserve things that keep those unique wild flavors, and that can be a whole R&D process in itself. But the really fascinating part here, your unique selling point, is the story. The story behind your ingredients that they were handpicked, maybe just a few miles away in a wild patch. That powerful narrative taps into that modern consumer desire for authenticity, for sustainability. It's more than just buying a product. It's that connection, that emotional resonance. That's your real differentiator. It lets you price things in a way traditional proofs just can't match.
That's a really smart way to look at it, leveraging that hunger for experience and authenticity. Okay, shifting gears slightly. Our third model seems to target the culinary elite. This is about becoming a trusted supplier of foraged ingredients, but specifically for high-end restaurants. Top chefs, they're always looking for unique, seasonal stuff to make their menus stand out, right?
Absolutely. Wild ingredients with their intense, often surprising flavors, they're a perfect fit. Chefs often talk about terroir, the taste of a specific place. And nothing really embodies that more than perfectly foraged wild ingredients from right there. If you can build that reputation for reliability, for consistent quality, you can forge some very lucrative relationships with local restaurants.
Supplying high-end restaurants sounds great, potentially very profitable, but also incredibly demanding. Is there a risk of, say, overharvesting or other ethical concerns when you're trying to scale up to meet that kind of professional demand?
That's a very real and, frankly, very important point. Building those relationships, yes, it demands deep foraging knowledge, but it also demands consistent supply. A nuanced understanding of what chefs need. Maybe they want wild greens of a certain tenderness or mushrooms at a specific stage. And absolute reliability on delivery. And to your point on ethics, sustainable harvesting has to be paramount. It's non-negotiable. If you overharvest, you destroy your source and your reputation goes with it. It's finished. So it's really about building a truly symbiotic relationship, both with the wild environment and with the restaurant. If we look at the bigger picture, the demand for these kinds of unique, hyper-local flavors, it's growing every single day. So this is a highly promising path, provided you approach it with real respect for the ecosystem.
Okay, so we've explored these tangible business opportunities, the financial side. But as we often find in these deep dives, there's usually a richer layer, something beyond just profit. In your experience, is there a broader significance to this whole movement? Does it go beyond just the dollars and cents?
Oh, absolutely. That's a crucial point. Beyond the business aspect, urban foraging is actually a powerful driver for community engagement, for ecological awareness. Think about a guided tour. It's not just teaching plant ID. It can foster this sense of collective ownership over local green spaces. It turns these forgotten patches into shared natural resources. It educates people about biodiversity they maybe never knew existed, right, in their own neighborhood. And that cultivates a new appreciation for the incredible natural world that's right under our noses, often totally unseen.
So it's not just about what you take out, but what you cultivate in terms of community connection, ecological understanding. It really does sound like a business built on passion, deep knowledge, and, yeah, a healthy dose of adventure. So the next time you step outside, instead of just, walking past what you might think is just a common weed, maybe take a moment.
Yeah, consider that it might not just be a plant. It could be a potent ingredient or a unique experience waiting to be shared, or maybe even the foundation for a whole thriving enterprise.
Makes you think. What other weeds in your own life, maybe overlooked resources, dismissed ideas, seemingly insignificant details, might actually be hidden gems, untapped opportunities? If only you took a deep dive into them with new eyes and some newfound knowledge. That's definitely something to chew on.